I'm Brett Taylor, Director of Worship Arts at West End Community Church in Nashville, Tennessee. At West End, we believe that worship is formative, and that's the power of music as well. It not only engages our emotions, but our whole selves, shaping our minds and wills to better understand and more fall in love with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We wanted to offer a limited 4-part series on the history, stories, and beauty of the songs we sing at Christmas. Why do we love them? It sparks a comfort and a joy in our hearts, uniquely unlike any other time of the year. So whether you're a Sunday church attender, or you've just snuck into a church once and sat in the back row just to listen, let's take a look at some classic Christmas and Advent hymns and unpack the beauty together.
Divine, oh my, when Christ was born.
Our guest today is my dear friend, Richie Sessions, preacher, songwriter, and REF campus minister at Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm so glad he's with us today. Richie, thanks for being here, brother.
Glad to be here.
You've picked an awesome song, one we're all very familiar with, "O Holy Night." Great Christmas hymn. We sing it as closer we get to the 25th. You definitely hear it more and more in churches and in the world. Why'd you pick this hymn, brother?
It's just, I remember it from my earliest memories as being a song that just resonated inside of me. It's just such a haunting and beautiful song because it seems to really capture this feeling of darkness. And Advent is about waiting. And the feeling of darkness, there's the darkness of evil, the darkness of sadness, the darkness of death, and there is this sort of light that appears. And it's a light that sort of is slight and growing, but it's the light of Christ. And the song just captures that image to me.
Well, in that line, we talked about how probably our favorite line in this song is "A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices." It's cool how the author of this poem, it actually was a French poem originally, and the author writes that kind of beaming light as hope. So he gives it a quality, he gives it a name. So we see it as in the poem, like we know what it looks like for a star to descend and illuminate the entire sky. Mm-hmm. What he's saying is hope has come, right? Mm-hmm. Hope in darkness.
Yes, and the weary world rejoices. The word weary world rejoicing is such a powerful phrase. A weary world that rejoices, and you just think about all of us individually and corporately. Just down through history the world's just tired and it's broken, and so there is this surprise, and the idea that I've just always loved the idea of hope being thrilling, and the surprise. It's almost a surprise attack of hope. There's this assault of hope on a weary, broken world, and it's like being rescued. Yeah. The song reminds me of being rescued from darkness.
Yeah, We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, just about how it is a song for those who are oppressed and those in bondage. This song was originally it's a French poem, and it was written because there was a church that had just gotten their organ restored. It had been dead for years, hundreds of years, and the organ got restored, and they needed a song for Christmas to be played on this new little organ in this church. And so the author of this hymn, his name is, I always have to look at it so I can pronounce it right, Adolphe Adam, and a Frenchman who wrote this poem for this organ to be sung on this organ, and the original title is "Midnight Christians." And we were talking earlier how it was fascinating how sometimes, this has kind of been the theme of these videos too, is sometimes commercial music, the world commercially can turn lyrics, they can make Christmas small, like Kevin Twit was talking about. They can make Christmas, fit better on a Hallmark card, But whereas when we look at this lyric, the lyric now is, "Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining." it is the night of our dear Savior's birth. You know, there's a beauty in that lyric, but the original lyric was Midnight Christians. It is the solemn hour when God as man descended unto us to erase the stain of original sin and to end the wrath of his Father. And I think we were just talking how there's more of an urgency with that lyric. And like you were saying, that when desolation goes lower, the need of a Savior becomes bigger. And I think you were saying, like, the darker the situation, the more the light needs to come.
Absolutely. And I think about the story of Simeon in Luke chapter 2, where Jesus as the baby is presented at the temple. And it says that he's been waiting and waiting and waiting for the consolation of Israel. And so in a lot of ways, he just describes someone who has been believing and trusting and hoping in, but not having the reality of it. And then he holds baby Jesus. And then he says these words, "My eyes have seen your salvation." And he's holding a baby. And so the consolation is something as real and as available and as holdable as a baby. And so the big surprise is that the great light, the great liberator, is human, but he's also a child, and he's also poor, and he's also for us, and he's one of us. That it's not only this great liberation, but it's something that I can have too. And you wrap all of the vast, mysterious wonder of these lyrics with a melody that's one of the most beautiful melodies I've ever heard.
Yeah, and once the first note starts, the dun 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 dun, you're in, and it's almost hard to sing corporately in churches because it's so beautiful and so complex. We were talking earlier about how this is a song, you know, we've as we've been talking about Advent these last couple of weeks, how it's a hope that enters into where it doesn't dismiss or disregard your pain. It actually not only comes to the pain, but becomes the pain and takes on the pain. And this song has a freeing the enslaved person, freeing the oppressed person. In that second verse, when he says, "Chains he shall break, for the slave is his brother." He comes to break oppression. That's Advent. There's Advent all in that, because his people, God's people, waiting for Jesus to come back and really set things right as they were meant to be, new heavens and new earth. And a lot of that is we are still enslaved to a world of sin and to our own hearts that are sinful.
Absolutely. There's a spiritual slavery, and then there's literal slavery. There are more slaves on the globe today, in the world, on the globe, than there ever been in human history. And so it's also a call for us to free the slave next door, but also for us to be, as Christians, to fight against global slavery that's going on in our world. Like the ministry of the work of IJM, International Justice Mission, and thinking about literal slavery, spiritual slavery, and the point is a weary world. Spiritual, literal slavery, and the rescuer has come.
Yeah, there's so many types of slavery these days, and we're all touched, and we all know the stories intimately. And like you said, the slavery of injustice, the slavery of oppression, the slavery of sexual slavery, even racial slavery. And so, what a song for the times! What a song for us to be able to sing, and for us, for our neighbors. And really reclaim that hope that has come in the midst of our slavery, and actually to break chains, which is so beautifully put. It's like you said, it's almost a violent breaking of slavery is not right, and I've come to break it. Beautiful song. I can't wait to sing this with you. It's great. We're going to sing "Oh Holy Night," lovely Christmas hymn. It tells a story that goes even deeper than the beautiful melody that carries it.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining. and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Truly taught us to love one another. His law is love, and His gospel is peace. Chains He shall break, for the slave is our brother, and in His name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we with all our hearts. We praise His holy name. Christ is the Lord. Then ever praise we His power and glory evermore proclaim His power